Sweet little lies. We're finding out that little guys are actually pretty good at this at a lot younger than ever thought. Dr. Samantha Goldwater-Adler is a Montreal clinical psychologist specializing in child psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy and is on the line. Thank you, first of all, Dr. Adler, for being here. And I will mention, it just took a quick look at this study, and the number that stands out to me the most is, according to this study, there are children, not all of them, but some of them, who actually can start, dealing with deception as early as the age of 10 months. So please dive into this and explain just how significant this is.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool study because there have been studies before about kids and using deception, but they relied much more heavily on kids being able to talk. What do they say? What does that look like? But then when they were doing animals, in different research and animal studies, they found that, all sorts of animals use deception and they don't have language. And so maybe we can maybe we can test this in younger kids. And in the study, they even found one baby, parents report that one baby at 8 months was even using deception. And about a quarter of babies at 10 months, as you're saying, were starting to use it. But what they were doing, obviously they weren't talking a lot at that point. They were doing more action-based stuff. So they would try to hide things, like if they found a little trinket that they weren't supposed to have that they liked, they would hide it. If parents, they would play deaf to instructions. So if the parent would say, okay, time to put away your blocks, they would just, kind of pretend they didn't hear it. If they were told to eat, if they were asked if they ate chocolate, they would sort of shake their head no, even though they have chocolate smeared across their faces. And it's adorable because I think as parents, we've all seen that in our kids before too. Just as they get a bit older, it gets a bit more sophisticated.
So sophisticated is an interesting word, right? Because they continue to adapt based on, I guess, what they think they can get away with or what they get caught with at some point. So what are some other things they might do? You mentioned this idea, and I think we've all seen that, right? The little child standing there pretending he hasn't done anything, or eating the chocolate when it's all over his face. What are some of the things parents might not notice, like right away, and then realize, hey, I'm being played here?
Well, I guess it depends how sophisticated your baby and your toddler are. And it's one of the things I really like about this study is that's really normalizing a lot of this, that this is just a part of development. And so even by the time kids hit 3 years old, they may start to exaggerate. And again, some of these things we've seen already, like, I ate all my veggies. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, you didn't, kid. Or fabricating, like, oh, where'd the cookies go? Oh, a ghost. It was a ghost. It came into the room and ate the cookies.
That's possible, though.
It's absolutely possible.
Saying.
Those ghosts always coming in and eating cookies.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think because they're young, as parents, we often can see it. We often notice it, right? As they get older, maybe they get better at it. We can see it. I think as parents, it's important to, normalize this. This is something that kids do
right.
It's just their way. Basically, when our kids are really little, and even as babies, they are trying to solve a very, very difficult problem, which is how do I get my needs met in a world where I'm teeny tiny, I can't really talk at all very well, and I have zero power. And they start to try to play around and try to find ways. They may cry, they may hit, they may deceive, and they get kind of better at it as they get older, as their cognitive abilities get better and they start to understand the world and how other people think better. And that's not a glitch, that's a feature. That's as kids are learning how to get their needs met. And it's a really cool process.
So I guess the question then becomes, and that's part of the process, I guess, of these kids growing up. I get that. What does a parent do once you begin to realize, and it's pretty obvious to realize after this happens once or twice that, that's what they're doing. What do you do as a parent? I mean, you're not going to necessarily punish a child. What's sort of the next step here in realizing that's going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think parents obviously have a really important role when our kids are little. And I think that our parents are, as roles, we have a few things. One is to model healthy behavior. So in this study, too, they found that parents that use deception with their kids themselves or kind of approved of it. Again, not many parents did this, but the ones who did had kids who would deceive much more. So I think it's important as a parent to kind of, model what we want our kids to do. So show them healthy ways to ask for what they want and how to deal with conflict and how to get things without, yelling or grabbing or lying. I think it's important as parents that we be understanding. I really appreciate, as you said, that, Aaron, is to not be overly punitive. These are little tiny kids. They're still trying to figure things out. and importantly, to try to shape and teach our kids how to get what they want and express themselves in pro-social, healthy ways.
Can you have a discussion with a child? It would seem to me at the age of 3, if we take that as an average, right? To sit down and have a discussion. So we're taking punishment out of this, as you said. That's not what you want to do here. But can you actually have a rational discussion with a 3-year-old?
Well, it's not going to be a huge, long, verbose kind of PowerPoint slides conversation with a 3-year-old. But in just little ways that we can do this. So, for example, if we see that our kid has stolen a cookie and they lie about it, right, then we can also just sit with them and be like, no lying. We don't lie. Ask, please, cookie, right? And kind of model for them, hey, here's a healthy way that you can still get what you want in a way that's safe. Or if they're doing something that's dangerous, let's say they find a nail on the floor and they go hide it because they want to keep it, then no, nails are dangerous. You can play with this. Here, have this, right? So there's ways to be able to still show them, hey, I care about your needs. I care about what you want. I know you have no clue how to get it. Here, let me show you some ways that you can navigate this world as a tiny person without going too far down the deception or aggression or other routes.
One of the things cited in the story that I read said, and I thought this was an interesting one to what you just described about the cookie, that says, imagine your child, however old they are, looking in a bag that they were told not to look into. And, of course, they did it because they thought no one was watching, but then they got caught. How do you explain that to the child?
It's...
I told you not to do this, and you did it anyway because you thought you could get away with it. I mean, it applies to everything you mentioned, but in that specific case, how do you explain privacy to a 3-year-old?
The same way you would for any other. It's a good question. It's the same way you would for any other privacy. It would just be, that's private, honey. I said no.
But why, Mommy? Why?
Well, ideally, there's a good reason you're asking your kid not to look in the bag. So if it's a bag of something that you think is harmful, let's say for the kid, right? There's cleaning supplies in there or something you think is dangerous for them. Then you would say that.
Yeah, but what? Okay, I'm playing the child here. But what if there was nothing dangerous in it? You're just saying, you know what? You have to respect people's privacy. We don't go looking at other people's stuff, specifically when we're told not to, dangerous or not. Yeah,
you know what, Aaron? I think you said it actually perfectly. Right back at you. That is a perfect way to communicate to a 3-year-old exactly what you said, that it's privacy and that we don't look in other people's, it's private. We don't look in private things.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you, Mom. Okay. If only I had I have a grandson, but he's older than 3. Look, I think it's a fascinating study, and I think parents, who think, no, my child could not possibly be doing this or, forming a thought to actually get this done. Surprise, surprise. Yes, they could be, and yes, they are. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And that is exactly developmentally what they should be doing.
All right. Dr. Goldwater, thank you so much. Appreciate the time this afternoon.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.